Okay, so let's take a look. So I'm going to give you guys again just the writing. Okay, so this says a reflection, a flip over a line called the line of reflection. All right. So flips happen over this thing called the line of reflection, and the line of reflection could take several different forms. Each point, its image are the same distance from the line of reflection. So there's going to be some things where we can use like some sort of rule for reflections, and then there's other things we can't use rules for, and we're going to have to know that they are equidistant from those lines. A reflection is also an example of a rigid motion, which means who can remind me what's a rigid motion? Yeah, it doesn't change shape, it doesn't change size, it just kind of scoots around, okay? But the angles and sides are preserved. Common lines of reflection include the x-axis or the y-axis, and these have specific rules that I will go over with you in a few minutes. But when we're looking at this, we have the x-axis, y-axis, the vertical or horizontal lines in the form x equals a number or y equals a number. Diagonal lines, for example, we would have y equals x or y equals negative x. You are going to be covering all of this today. And what we're going to do first is we're going to kind of bounce around this document. I want to cover the stuff that has rules first, and then we'll go back to the stuff that doesn't. Okay, so you can kind of see the difference. Is anybody still working on this? Anybody still writing? Okay. All right, then let's get into this first example. So is it reflecting on the x-axis and y-axis? So here's some notation for you that's going to be helpful. For the x-axis, you have a capital letter R, and it's y equals 0. That's the equation for the x-axis. For the y-axis, again, capital letter R means rotation, and then you have x equals 0. Here is the thing that you need to write in. For the x-axis, the rule is this. For each point, you are going to have the x stays the same and the y switches for the x-axis, which makes sense when you flip all over that line. For the y-axis, the rule is that x becomes negative and y stays the same. All right, so if we take a look at these first two, we have one that is about the x-axis. Remember, this means x-axis. And this guy ends up being the y-axis. Okay, and let's just take a moment and plot these points, okay? So a negative 4, 2. Is anybody still plotting these points? Okay, give me a minute. All right, so if we take a look at this, we see that we have ABC for number 1, and they want us to reflect this over the x-axis. So here is where y equals 0. I'm just going to draw that line of reflection. Now, if I apply this rule, it actually ends up being very easy for me, and I'm going to represent the reflection in purple. So I'm using this one. This changes for point A. We're going to have -4, comma, -2. For B, we'll have 4, comma, -7. And for C, we'll have 5, comma, -1. And I'm going to plot these points just to make sure that everything worked. So -4 down 2, there's A prime, B prime, 4 down 7, and C prime 5, -1. So if we look, A prime, B prime, C prime. Are those equidistant from the line of reflection? Yes, so we did okay. We're fine. Okay. Now for this next one, now we're talking about the y-axis because it's x equals 0. So we're talking about this guy right here. Now it is okay if these kind of go over the line of reflection, the same rules still apply, okay? It just means it's going to, reflect onto itself. So again, I'm going to just take my purple and I'm going to go through each point. And now I'm going to apply this rule right here where the x changes. So for P, it's going to be -1, comma 2. For Q, it's going to be -2, comma 5. For R, it's going to be -8, comma 3. And for S, it's going to be -7, comma 0. So now I'm just going to plot these points and make sure I did them correctly. So -1 up 2, -2 up 5, let's see, -8 up 3, and -7, 0. So here is the shape. So this should go P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. Any questions so far? Try these next two on your own. You don't necessarily have to plot the first one, but I would like to see you plot the second one. Okay, go ahead. All right, show hands. You're still working on these two. All right, let's check them out. I'm just gonna kind of pull this up here. So here's 3 and 4. It's always a good idea to highlight that line of reflection so that this way, you know kind of what you're doing. Okay. So any questions on that? All right, let's move on. So we're going to pause on this part right now. I want you guys to go down to this part where it has the rules, okay? We're going to do these first. So this next set of rules goes the following way. So we're talking about y equals x or y equals negative x. So we're on this diagonal, okay? And if we take a look, the rule for this is going to be, for this one, x comma y, it's going to change to y comma x. And this one, x comma y, for over negative x, it's going to be negative y comma negative x. Okay, that's what you're going to want to write down. So that's going to help you with your homework. And we'll get the foldable taken care of too. I'm just waiting on a supply for it. So if I wanted to graph these, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to graph my line of reflection. Now this one says y equals x. So that means it's a positive slope. It's literally like this with the intercept at 0. So that's my line of reflection. Now I'm going to plot the points for this. I'm going to do it in red. So this will be -5, -2. So there's x, and then -3, up 4. There's y, and then z, -1, 1. So here's the triangle. And now I'm just going to apply the rule to get my points. Okay, so this just says when it's a positive slope, okay, just the y's and the x's flip. So for x prime, we're going to have -2 comma -5. For y prime, we're going to have 4 comma -3. And for z prime, we're going to have 1 comma -1. And then I'm just going to plot these points. So we're going to have, let's see, -2 down 5. We're going to have 1, -1. And then we're going to have 4, 2, 3, 4, down 3. So here it is. Try the next one on your own. All right, show of hands. You're still working on this. All right, let's check it out. Oops. There it is. It's this guy right here. Okay. How are we looking? Any questions on this one? All right, let's do the opposite one then. Okay, so for 11, again, now the line of reflection is going to be negative. So the line of reflection is going to, again, start here, but in this case, have a negative slope. Now, they did a dash line on the key. You can just do these dots. You can connect them. Whatever works for you is fine by me. Just make sure you represent it in some capacity. I just like it as a solid line. Okay, so here I'm going to plot. Again, I just want to make sure this works out. -1 up, 1, 2, 3. There's A, 0, 2, 3, 6. C, 2, and 2, 2. Oops. There we go. So there's A, B, C, D. Okay. So now that I have this plotted, okay, I'm going to apply my rule. Now the rule states here that not only do the x and y flip, but they also become opposite signs. So in this case, I'm going to have for A prime, I'm going to have -3, +1. For B prime, I'm going to have -6 and 0 because 0 is neither positive nor negative. For C, I'm going to have -5, -3. And for D, I'm going to have -2, -2. And I'm just going to plot these. So there it is. So here we have A prime, B prime, D prime, C prime. Try the next one on your own. Bless you. Yeah, you flip them and then give them each the opposite sign.
So this should have been 4 -3.
Yeah, 4 -3. Yep. It's equidistant.
So I did it wrong.
You might have plotted wrong, maybe, but double check it. Yeah. All right, anybody still working on these? All right, let's check it out. So here's what you should have gotten. Questions? All right, we're not going to do all of these, but we are going to do at least 2. So head back up to reflecting in other another vertical or horizontal line. Okay, so in this case, there's no rule for these. You're going to have to just make it equidistant. Okay, so you could have the vertical line, which is capital R with X equals some number as a subscript, or a horizontal line where Y equals some number. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to draw. We're going to do number 5 here. I'm going to draw that line of reflection. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is the line of reflection. Now this one, there's no shortcut. You're going to have to graph both. Okay, there's no getting around that. So I'm going to graph the first one in red. So it looks like I have 1, -1. So here's 1, -1. And then I have K is 2, 3. So 2, 1, 2, 3. And L is 3, -2. So here's my triangle. So here is J, K, L. All right, so for the reflection, I need to just go equidistant for each point. All right, so I'm 2 spaces away here. I'm going 2 spaces away from that line of reflection. There is my K prime. So that looks like I'm at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 6, 3. For J, I'm 1, 2, 3 spots away. So 1, 2, 3 there. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like J is 7, -1. So there's J prime. And then for L, I'm 1 spot away. So I'm right there. So it looks like 5, -2. And that's it. Like there's no shortcut here. You're going to have to graph both, okay? Why don't you guys try 7? But they're saying in this case, Y is 2. So your line of reflection ends up being right here. So you're going over that line. So you're going to have 1 above, 1 below. Have at it. Give it a shot. I'm going to leave the other 2 in case you want extra practice with this.
What is this bridge? It's on the glass back. Yeah. That's what I would choose.
All right, anybody still working on this? Okay, give me another minute.
That's all I have left.
Gavin, happy birthday. Just you gotta sharpen it. Someone tried and it didn't work out, so give it a shot. But it's all yours. I think it's 7-minute pencil. Oh, don't jam it in there. It won't work. You got it? Oh, dang, look at you. New system. All right, let's check out 7. There you go. That's how it should look. And then 6 and 8, I'm leaving for extra practice if you feel you need it, okay? All right, let's any questions on this before we move on? Yeah. There's no real rule behind it because it's constantly changing. It's a lot easier just to graph. You can create a rule if you wish, but it's not going to be consistent. You know what I mean? Alrighty. So let's take a look at the bottom now. Okay, so we're going to talk about now. I'm sorry, we're kind of jumping all over the place. But it says identify the law of reflection. So they're asking here, like, what is the actual rule that's happening here? And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find kind of a midpoint between 2 points. So if I look here, the midpoint is right there between the J's. For the K's, it lands right here. So what is the line of reflection here? Not all at once, no. The y-axis, yep. Again, here and here, we're looking for something that's a little bit equidistant, which would probably be right here. Okay, so that probably means that this is what? Go ahead. Y equals negative x. Looking right here, equidistant for R and Q. What's this one going to be? Close, not 4. Yeah, x equals negative 3. Very good.
I can't count.
It's a little hard on the screen, too. Okay. We're going to skip 16 for just a minute. I want us to get to visual first. I'll go over 16 in a second. All right, so if you guys take a look at this one. So again, here, z to z prime looks like that's the halfway point. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What is that equation? Go ahead. Y equals 1. If I want to represent this as a function, it would be r, y equals 1. It'd just be lowercase. Now this guy right here, if we look again, equidistant, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3 actually. So probably about right there-ish. What's this one going to be? Y equals what? Or no. We got y equals x. Now for 16, I want to kind of pull up the key for this and then highlight what they're doing here because it's funky. What's happening here is that this is overlapping on itself. Okay, because if you look here, we have u, and then u prime is directly on the other side. Then we have v, and then we have v prime, and then we have t, and we have t prime. If you guys look at this a little bit more closely, what's the line of reflection? What do you guys think? Good. The x-axis, yeah. So always be careful. Like, it is okay for these to kind of flip-flop on themselves. That does happen. Okay? But just look out for like the primes and the pre-images and the images, and you should be okay. Questions on that? All right, homework is the last 2 pages, so I want you guys to get going on that. And those of you watching, have a wonderful day.